History has deceived you. Some of the most significant medical achievements, the cures, the treatments, the finds that saved millions, were done by those whose names cram the books. They were done by black trailblazers whose genius was appropriated, their legacies lost to racism and oblivion. Picture dedicating your life to heal the world, then being forgotten from it. Today, we uncover the hidden giants of medicine, heroes you were never meant to know. The question is, why were their stories kept from you? Dr. Ellis had long thought that medicine was the only profession where truth really counted. His days were filled with bustling labs and deserted hospital corridors, pursuing answers that might save lives. To his colleagues, he was just another doctor in a white coat. To patients, he was a lifeline. Few were aware of how often he worked late at night, how many times he redid an experiment, or how much he believed his research could transform the world. Outside the hospital doors, though, the world perceived him differently. No degree, no genius, no sacrifice could protect him from the burden of being a black man in an age that could not see past color. Yet he persisted, believing results trumped prejudice. What Ellis didn't realize was that his greatest discovery, the one destined to transform medicine forever, would not carry his name. In fact, the very system he trusted would conspire to erase him, leaving history to celebrate others while his own story slipped into silence. Initially, Dr. Ellis expected the recognition to come his way any moment now. His discovery, a new method that could salvage patients others had already written off, was too important to be ignored. He carefully documented his results, sent them in to the journals, and showed them to colleagues who listened with keen attention. The science was impeccable, the outcomes unequivocal, but behind closed doors, rumors started. His work was promising, they muttered, but somehow inadequate. Review boards hung back, saying his data lacked sufficient proof. Conferences never saw him. Months passed, and the silence weighed more heavily. And yet Ellis worked on, believing persistence would pierce the wall he could not yet discern. Then there was the moment that ought to have changed everything. A well-known white doctor, someone Ellis had collaborated with on his study, published the exact same finding in his own name. The papers trumpeted it as revolutionary. Awards came. Newspapers declared him a genius, a savior of modern medicine. Ellis sat helpless as his life's work marched around the world in his absence without his name. The betrayal was devastating, but that was only the beginning. When Ellis attempted to speak out, he was confronted with veiled threats. Watch yourself, appear advised, eyes darting nervously. Administrators challenged his integrity, implying he was delusional about the uniqueness of his own work. He was described as bitter, unstable, jealous in whispers. The very system which he had trusted betrayed him, labeling him as the culprit while the actual thief of his invention was hailed as a hero. Every day at the hospital was a silent struggle. Patients continued to line the corridors, never knowing that the cure that preserved their lives came from the same hands of the man who walked undetected among them. Coworkers shunned his eye contact, too intimidated to stand with him. Friends told him to just let it go, to remember what black men who fought authority too overtly had faced. But Ellis could not keep silent about what was burning within him. His finding had the potential to save millions, and history would never recognize him. He started writing in a personal journal, writing late at night, intent on documenting what had been taken from him. In its pages, he expressed his rage, his sorrow, his resolve not to be forgotten. Nevertheless, a more sinister fear inched its way in. What if his notes went missing? What if the sole record of his greatness was lost? He'd already witnessed it happen before. Black innovators whose achievements were not only forgotten, but purposefully erased. The thought plagued him. Every morning, when he stuffed his journal into a drawer, he couldn't help but wonder if even that would last him. The harder Ellis resisted, the stronger the resistance became. Money disappeared. Promising research was ripped out of his grasp. Doors that had once seemed ajar now slammed shut with no reason given. And still, he didn't stop. This was no longer about science, at least not to him. It was about justice, about dignity, about not allowing prejudice to bury the truth permanently. What Ellis didn't know was that the cost of holding on to his truth would soon grow even higher, and the forces determined to silence him were far from finished. The breaking point arrived one evening Ellis would never forget. The hospital auditorium was filled to capacity. Doctors, administrators, reporters, all there to honor the man credited with bringing about a medical revolution that wasn't his own. Ellis stood at the periphery of the room, observing as the audience applauded another man's brilliance, a man who had plagiarized his work and stolen his legacy. The pain of betrayal pierced deeper with each cheer. Ellis' treatment was being hailed as revolutionary, yet he was never mentioned. Not a word, as if he had never been. His heart threatened to explode, his fists clenched at his sides, and for a moment he thought he might leap up and scream the truth. But he knew the price. A black man raising his voice in that room would not be heard. It would be punished. Then, the final insult. When the renowned doctor received the award, he made his acceptance speech thick with Ellis's own words. Sentences taken verbatim from the journal Ellis had once trusted to reveal her deepest thoughts. Each syllable cut deeper than a knife. The crowd clung to every word, thinking they were seeing history in the making, having no clue the history was already inscribed by someone the world chose to ignore. Ellis sensed the pressure of centuries upon him. He wasn't merely losing credibility. He was witnessing his life's work, his legacy to mankind, disappear before him. And worse, he knew this wasn't simply about him. It was a cycle, a pattern, one name taken away while another rose to prominence. Standing there, hidden in plain sight, Ellis saw the harsh reality. History would never voluntarily speak his name. If he was to make the world understand, he would have to struggle for it, no matter the cost. For the question wasn't so much about whether his name would be kept alive. The question was, how many more black heroes would rest in silence if he too chose to keep quiet? Ellis never once saw his name inscribed in the journals or recognized on the stage. His discovery continued to save lives, but the accolades were lost beneath the name of another man. To the world, he was invisible. Still, in the pages of his own private journal, he left a record, a quiet testament to the truth he would not let die. That journal, kept secret for decades, was the sole remnant of the genius history attempted to destroy. And as Ellis's voice was hushed in his day, his tale is not an unusual one. Through the ages, scores of black inventors, healers, and thinkers were erased from the books, their work pilfered, their very names forgotten. The effect of that silence reaches far beyond one man. When voices are removed, generations to come lose more than credit. They lose role models. They lose hope. They lose the evidence that greatness has always been present where the world attempted to look away. The injustice is not only in the past. It remains present in classrooms, in hospitals, in workplaces where prejudice still determines who is heard and who is silenced. Ellis's tale is a reminder that history is not truth. It is frequently power determining who is remembered. And if power can make a man who saved lives forgotten, what other tales are we still blind to? The question is not whether these heroes existed. They existed. The question is, will we finally remember them, or will we continue to let silence write our history for us?